My name is Jessica Harper. I'm 45. On Tuesday morning, March 12th at 6:47 a.m., I was standing in my own kitchen watching my husband of 5 years pack a suitcase while his 18-year-old son Ethan sat at my breakfast bar eating the eggs I'd just cooked, and Michael looked me dead in the eye and said, "It's not really cheating if I tell you up front." I was still holding the spatula. There was a piece of scrambled egg stuck to my thumb. "What?" I said. Michael zipped his carry-on. He was wearing the charcoal suit I'd paid to have dry cleaned. "Lauren and I want to try again, but I'm being honest with you, Jess. That's what makes this different. I'm not sneaking around." Ethan didn't look up from his plate. He was scrolling through his phone with one hand, fork in the other. He'd been living with us for 8 months. 8 months of me driving him to community college, paying his car insurance, buying his groceries, pretending I didn't notice when he took money from my wallet. "Try again," I repeated, "with your ex-wife." "For 30 days, Michael said, like he was proposing a business trip. "I need to know if what we had is still there. You and I can take a break, a separation. Then I'll come back and we'll figure things out." My mouth went dry. A break. A temporary separation agreement. My lawyer already drafted it. You just need to sign. He pulled a folded document from his laptop bag and set it on the counter between us. "It's fair, Jess. I'm being completely transparent here." That word, transparent. Like honesty was a free pass to do whatever he wanted. I looked at Ethan. "Did you know about this?" He finally met my eyes. "Mom's been alone for 3 years. Dad deserves to be happy." "Your mom," I said slowly, "is the woman who left your father because she didn't want to be married anymore." "Yeah, and now she's ready again," Ethan said. "People change." "And you think I should just sign this?" Michael stepped closer. His voice went softer, the tone he used when he wanted something. "Jess, we've had a good run, but I need to know. If you love me, you'll give me this space. I'll be back in 30 days, I promise. And if it doesn't work with Lauren, you and I will pick up where we left off." I set the spatula down very carefully. "And if it does work? Then we'll deal with that," he said, honestly, like adults. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. I didn't sign that morning. I told Michael I needed to think. He left anyway. Threw his suitcase in the back of his Jeep, the Jeep I'd co-signed for, and drove to Lauren's apartment on the east side of Denver. Ethan went with him. I stood in the driveway in my bathrobe at 7:14 a.m. watching them pull away, and the only thing I could think was, I just made him breakfast. Let me take you back 5 years to the day I met Michael Harper. I was 40. I'd just been promoted to corporate finance manager at Caldwell and Associates, a mid-sized investment firm downtown. I was good at my job, really good. I managed portfolios worth 8 figures, tracked expenses down to the penny, and never missed a deadline. I'd worked my way up from junior analyst over 12 years. No MBA, no connections, just relentless competence. I met Michael at a networking mixer I didn't want to attend. He was recently divorced, charming in that easy way some men are when they're used to being liked. He sold medical equipment, made decent money, drove a nice car, had a son from his first marriage who lived with Lauren most of the time. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," he said, handing me a glass of wine. "I would," I admitted. "Me too. Let's leave." We went to a diner, talked until midnight. He was funny, attentive, interested in my work in a way that felt rare. When he drove me home, he didn't try to come inside. He texted the next morning, "Dinner tomorrow?" We were married 11 months later. I was careful. I had a prenuptial agreement drawn up protecting my inheritance. My parents had died in a car accident when I was 32, leaving me their house in the Highlands neighborhood and a trust fund worth $340,000. The house was worth $580,000 by the time I married Michael. The prenup was clear. My inheritance stayed mine. Michael signed without complaint. I don't want your money, Jess. I just want you. For 3 years, it was good. We split bills, traveled on weekends, hosted dinners. He met my coworkers. I met his friends. When Caldwell offered me a relocation package to help open their Denver office, Michael supported the move. We sold his condo, moved into my house, repainted the kitchen together. Then Ethan turned 18 and dropped out of Lauren's place after a fight. Michael asked if he could stay with us just for a few weeks while he figured things out. Those weeks became months. Ethan didn't work, didn't clean, didn't contribute. He slept until noon, played video games until 3 a.m., left dishes everywhere. When I gently suggested he look for a job, Michael defended him. He's going through something, Jess. His mom kicked him out. Give him time. I gave him time. I gave him $200 for textbooks when he enrolled in community college. I gave him gas money, grocery money, money for a security deposit on an apartment he never actually rented. I reorganized my work schedule to drive him to campus twice a week because he didn't feel safe taking the bus. And the whole time, Michael was texting Lauren. I didn't know that part yet. 3 days after Michael left, I went to work like normal. I had a 9 a.m. meeting with a new client, Gerald Westbrook, a retired engineer liquidating his wife's estate. I'd prepared a portfolio analysis, printed the reports, and was reviewing numbers when my desk phone rang at 8:52 a.m. It was Michael. I need you to sign the separation agreement today, he said. No hello, no how are you. I haven't decided yet. Jess, it's been 3 days. I'm trying to be fair here, but you're making this difficult. I'm making this difficult? You know what I mean. I'm being upfront. I'm not lying to you. That should count for something. There it was again. That logic. As if honesty about betrayal made the betrayal okay. Michael, you want me to agree to let you live with your ex-wife for a month and then come back like nothing happened. I want us to take a break so I can figure out my feelings without lying to you. That's healthy, Jess. That's mature. My hands were shaking. What about my feelings? You're a strong person. You'll be fine. He paused. Look, if you don't sign by Friday, my lawyer says we'll have to file for legal separation, and that gets expensive for both of us. Just sign the paper. Make this easy. He hung up. I sat there for 4 minutes staring at my computer screen. Gerald Westbrook arrived at 8:57. I walked him through his options, explained tax implications, answered every question with the same calm competence I always brought to my work. He signed with Caldwell. When he left, he shook my hand and said, "You really know your stuff." I went to the bathroom and threw up. That Friday, I signed the separation agreement. Not because I wanted to, because Michael's lawyer sent an email with the subject line, failure to respond, and CC'd my work email. My boss saw it. She didn't say anything, but I saw the way she looked at me during our Monday staff meeting. The agreement was 2 pages. It said we were taking a 30-day break from our marriage. It said neither party would make financial claims against the other during this period. It said we'd reconvene on April 15th to discuss next steps. I signed it in my car at 11:34 p.m. in the Safeway parking lot. Took a photo with my phone, emailed it to Michael's lawyer. Michael texted 3 minutes later. "Thank you. This is the right thing." I didn't respond. For 30 days, I heard nothing. No calls, no texts, no updates. I went to work, managed my clients, paid the mortgage on my house, $2,840 a month, same as always, paid the utilities, the property taxes, the insurance, everything I'd been paying for 5 years while Michael contributed maybe $800 a month and called it equal. Ethan's things were still in the guest room. His Xbox, his clothes, his half-empty energy drinks in the mini fridge I'd bought him. I boxed everything up and put it in the garage. On April 14th, the day before our reconvene date, Michael's lawyer sent another email. Petition for divorce and asset division. My stomach dropped. The email had an attachment, a legal filing. Michael wasn't asking to come back. He was suing me for divorce, claiming the separation agreement had been signed under duress and demanding half the value of my house, $290,000, half the joint savings account, $32,000. I'd deposited my last 3 bonuses there, $62,000 total over 2 years, while Michael had contributed maybe $2,000. Lifetime spousal support of $3,500 per month. Reimbursement for Ethan's living expenses for the 8 months he'd stayed with us, $18,000. The filing claimed I'd forced him to sign the prenuptial agreement, that I'd isolated him from his family, that I'd created a hostile environment for Ethan. It claimed that I was emotionally abusive. I read it sitting at my kitchen table, read it twice. Then I called the lawyer listed on my prenup, Richard Castellano, whose office was on Spear Boulevard. He answered on the second ring. "Ms. Harper, I was wondering when I'd hear from you." "You know about this?" "Michael's attorney contacted me 2 weeks ago asking for a copy of your prenuptial agreement. I told him it was ironclad. He said he'd contest it anyway." "Can he do that?" "He can try. It won't work, but he can make it expensive." Richard paused. "Do you have documentation of your financial contributions to the marriage?" "Yes. Bank statements, my salary deposits, tax returns." "Good. Bring everything to my office Monday morning. We're going to fight this." I hung up. Sat in that kitchen for 20 minutes. Then I started gathering documents. I pulled 5 years of bank statements showing my salary deposits, $148,000 per year after taxes, every penny going into our joint account to cover bills, while Michael's freelance income, sporadic at best, barely covered his car payment and golf membership. I pulled the deed to the house, which had my name only, dated 3 years before I even met Michael. I pulled the prenuptial agreement, signed by Michael in front of a notary, with a clause stating he'd had independent legal counsel review it. I pulled receipts for everything I'd bought Ethan, $1,247 in textbooks, $890 in groceries, $340 in gas money, $200 for a gym membership he used twice. I pulled my job relocation documents showing Caldwell had offered me the Denver position in 2021, before Michael and I were even engaged, which meant he'd moved into my house, not the other way around. I put it all in a folder, labeled it Harper versus Harper. And then I did something I'd never done before. I looked up Lauren's Facebook page. She'd posted a photo 5 days earlier. Her and Michael at some rooftop bar downtown, holding cocktails, her head on his shoulder. The caption, "Second chances." Ethan had commented, "Finally, Mom deserves this." There were 47 likes. I closed my laptop. On Monday, April 17th, I met with Richard Castellano at 8 a.m. His office was small but organized, walls lined with legal books, a window overlooking the street. He was in his early 60s, gray hair, reading glasses on a chain. "Show me everything," he said. I laid out the documents. He reviewed each one carefully, making notes. "This is good," he said. "This is very good. The prenup is solid. Your financial records prove you supported the household. The relocation documents prove the house was yours before the marriage." He looked up. "But we have a problem." "What problem?" "The separation agreement you signed. Michael's lawyer is going to argue that you were coerced into signing it, which means he'll argue the same about the prenup. He'll paint you as controlling, financially abusive, someone who forced a subordinate spouse into unfair contracts." My face went hot. "That's insane." "It's a strategy. And if Ethan testifies that you mistreated him, made him feel unwelcome, threatened to kick him out, it'll look like a pattern." "I never threatened him." "Can you prove that?" I couldn't. Richard leaned back in his chair. "Here's what I need you to do. Don't contact Michael. Don't contact Ethan. Don't post anything on social media. Document everything. Every expense, every interaction, every text message. And if Ethan or Michael contacts you, record it. Colorado is a one-party consent state." "Record it?" "If they make threats, if they ask for money, if they say anything that contradicts their legal claims, I need evidence." I left his office at 9:23 a.m., feeling like I'd swallowed glass. 2 days later, Ethan called me. It was 2:37 p.m. I was in a budget meeting. I let it go to voicemail. He called again at 2:45, again at 3:02. I stepped out of the meeting and answered. What, Ethan? I need to get my stuff from the garage. It's in boxes. I'll leave them on the porch. That's not good enough. I want to come inside, get some things from my room. The guest room. My room, he said, voice hardening. The room I lived in for 8 months while you treated me like garbage. I took a breath. Ethan, I'm at work. I can't do this right now. You know what? Dad's lawyer is right about you. You're cold. You never wanted me there. You made me feel like I was a burden. I drove you to school twice a week. I bought your groceries. I gave you money. Because you had to. Because Dad made you. You didn't do it because you cared. Ethan, you're going to lose everything, Jessica. The house, the money, all of it. And when you do, I hope you remember how you treated us. He hung up. I stood in the hallway outside the conference room, phone in my hand, heart pounding. Then I remembered what Richard had said. I went to my phone settings and turned on call recording. Over the next 3 weeks, Ethan called me 6 more times. Each time he escalated. Dad says you're hiding money. We know about the offshore accounts. I didn't have offshore accounts. If you don't settle, we're going to tell the court you hit me. That last one came on May 3rd at 10:18 p.m. I was in bed. I'd worked a 12-hour day closing a client deal. I answered on speaker and hit record. You're going to tell the court I hit you. Yeah, because you did. Ethan, I never touched you. That's not what I'll say. I'll say you shoved me during an argument. Witnesses saw it. What witnesses? People at the house. Dad, Mom. Your mom was never at my house. He laughed. See how easy this is? You can't prove anything. But I can go in front of a judge and cry and say you abused me and they'll believe me. You want to take that risk? What do you want? Drop the prenup, give Dad half, and give me $50,000 for pain and suffering. $50,000? You've got it. Everyone knows finance people are loaded. Pay up or I go to the cops. I hung up. Sent the recording to Richard immediately. He called me back in 4 minutes. This is extortion, he said. This is a gift. A gift? He just tanked their entire case. I'm filing a motion to dismiss with prejudice and requesting sanctions, and we're going to play this recording in court. The mediation was scheduled for May 20th. It didn't go well. We met in a conference room at the courthouse. Me, Richard, Michael, his lawyer, a woman named Sharon Voss, who wore a suit that cost more than my car payment, and a mediator. Sharon opened with her position. Michael had been a devoted husband who supported my career, helped raise his son in my home, and signed an unconscionable prenuptial agreement under pressure. Ms. Harper isolated Mr. Harper financially, Sharon said. She controlled all household income, made unilateral decisions, and created a hostile environment for his child. The mediator, a tired-looking man named Paul, turned to me. Ms. Harper, do you dispute this characterization? Completely, I said. I have bank records showing. Bank records can be manipulated, Sharon interrupted. What we have is a pattern of behavior. Mr. Harper's son will testify that Mrs. Harper verbally abused him, made him feel unwelcome, and threatened to evict him. Richard slid a folder across the table. That's interesting. Because Ethan Harper called my client 9 days ago and threatened to fabricate abuse allegations unless she paid him $50,000. We have the recording. Sharon's face didn't change, but Michael's did. He looked at Ethan, who was sitting in the hallway outside. That's taken out of context, Sharon said quickly. I'm happy to play it, Richard said. Right now. Paul held up a hand. Let's take a break. We broke for 15 minutes. When we reconvened, Sharon's offer had changed. Michael would accept a $75,000 settlement and drop all claims to the house and spousal support. No, I said. Ms. Harper, Paul said gently, this could save you months of litigation. No, I'm not paying him for breaking my heart and then lying about it. Richard didn't blink. We're going to trial. Sharon leaned back. You're making a mistake. Maybe, I said, but at least it'll be an honest one. Michael finally spoke. It was the first time he'd looked at me all day. You know I didn't want this, Jess. You forced my hand. That phrase. It's not really cheating if I tell you up front. Like honesty was armor. Like telling me he was going to hurt me made it okay. I didn't answer. I stood up and walked out. The trial date was set for June 14th. In the meantime, I kept working, kept paying my mortgage, kept living in the house that was supposed to be my safe place and now felt like a crime scene. My co-workers knew something was wrong. My boss, Sandra, called me into her office on May 28th. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine. You're not fine. You've lost weight. You look exhausted. And I got a very strange phone call yesterday from someone claiming to be your husband's lawyer, asking about your employment status. My stomach turned. What did you tell her? Nothing. I told her to submit a formal request through HR, but Jess... Sandra's voice softened. If you need time off or if you need help, tell me. I almost cried. I'm in the middle of a divorce. It's bad. How bad? He wants half my house and is accusing me of abuse I didn't commit. Sandra was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Do you have a lawyer? Yes. Good. Use them. And if you need a witness to your character or your work schedule, I'll testify. That kindness nearly broke me. On June 14th, I walked into Judge Maria Ramirez's courtroom in the Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse at 8:47 a.m. The room was smaller than I'd expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, a Colorado flag in the corner. There were maybe 40 people in the gallery, other lawyers waiting for their cases, a couple of reporters, some random people who apparently had nothing better to do than watch divorces. Michael sat at the plaintiff's table with Sharon Voss. He was wearing a navy suit. His hair was freshly cut. He looked good. Ethan sat behind him in the first row. Lauren was next to him, holding his hand. I sat at the defendant's table with Richard. My hands were shaking, so I folded them in my lap. Judge Ramirez entered at 9:02 a.m. She was in her late 50s, gray hair pulled back, reading glasses perched on her nose. She had a reputation, Richard had told me, for being no-nonsense and fair. Case number 2025-DR-3381, Harper v. Harper, the clerk announced. Petition for divorce and asset division. Sharon stood. Your Honor, Michael Harper seeks dissolution of his marriage to Jessica Harper on grounds of irreconcilable differences and equitable division of marital assets. Ms. Harper is contesting? Richard stood. Yes, Your Honor. The assets in question are not marital property. They are Ms. Harper's separate inheritance, protected by a valid prenuptial agreement. I've reviewed the prenup, Judge Ramirez said. Ms. Voss, you're claiming it's unconscionable? We are, Your Honor. Mr. Harper signed under duress. Ms. Harper controlled all finances during the marriage, isolated him from decision-making, and created an environment where he had no choice but to sign. Do you have evidence of duress? We have testimony from Mr. Harper and his son that Mrs. Harper was controlling, verbally abusive, and threatened financial retaliation if Mr. Harper didn't comply with her demands. Judge Ramirez looked at me. Ms. Harper, did you threaten your husband? I stood. No, Your Honor. Did you control all finances? I earned all the income that paid our bills, my salary, my bonuses, but I didn't prevent him from working. He chose to work part-time and spend the rest of his time with his girlfriend. A murmur went through the gallery. Sharon objected. Your Honor, that's inflammatory and irrelevant. It's relevant, Richard said, because Mr. Harper initiated this divorce after spending 30 days living with his ex-wife, which he claimed was a trial separation, and then immediately filed for half of Miss Harper's premarital assets. Judge Ramirez held up a hand. Let's hear from Mr. Harper. Sir, take the stand. Michael stood and walked to the witness box. He was sworn in. Sharon questioned him first, asked about our marriage, how I'd pressured him to sign the prenup, how I'd belittled him when he tried to contribute, how I'd made Ethan feel unwelcome. She told him he was useless, Michael said. She made him feel like a burden. He was just a kid trying to figure his life out, and she treated him like garbage. Did she ever threaten you? All the time. She said if I didn't do what she wanted, she'd divorce me and I'd get nothing. I felt my face burn. Then Richard stood for cross-examination. Mr. Harper, you signed the prenuptial agreement on August 3rd, 2020. Is that correct? Yes. And you had a lawyer review it before you signed? She said I needed a lawyer, but I couldn't afford one, so I just signed. You couldn't afford a lawyer, but you drove a $45,000 Jeep that Ms. Harper co-signed for? Michael hesitated. That was different. You also had a golf club membership that cost $2,400 a year, correct? I needed that for networking. Did your networking ever result in income? Sometimes. Richard pulled out a document. I have your tax returns from 2020 through 2024. Your total reported income over 5 years was $63,000. Ms. Harper's income over the same period was $740,000. Does that sound accurate? Michael's jaw tightened. She made more money. That doesn't mean she wasn't abusive. Let's talk about abuse. You initiated a temporary separation on March 12th of this year. Where did you go? To my ex-wife's apartment. And what was the nature of that visit? We were reconnecting. Reconnecting? Were you in a romantic relationship with your ex-wife during the separation? We were exploring our feelings. Mr. Harper, yes or no? Were you in a sexual relationship with Lauren Harper during your marriage to Jessica Harper? Sharon objected. Relevance, Your Honor. It's relevant to his claim of good faith in this divorce, Richard said. Judge Ramirez nodded. Answer the question, Mr. Harper. Michael looked at Lauren, then at me. Yes, but I told Jessica up front. I was honest. The courtroom went dead silent. You told her up front, Richard repeated. You told your wife you were going to have an affair, and therefore it wasn't really an affair? It's not cheating if everyone knows about it. Someone in the gallery laughed, then caught themselves. Richard didn't smile. Did Ms. Harper agree to this arrangement? She signed the separation agreement. After you told her that if she didn't, you'd file for legal separation and make things expensive for her? I was trying to be fair. Fair. Richard turned to Judge Ramirez. Your Honor, I'd like to enter Exhibit D, recordings of 9 phone calls between Ethan Harper and Ms. Harper made between April 18th and May 3rd. In these recordings, Ethan Harper threatens to fabricate abuse allegations unless Ms. Harper pays him $50,000. Sharon shot to her feet. Objection. Those recordings were obtained in a one-party consent state where Ms. Harper had every right to record her own phone calls, Richard said. I've submitted the authentication affidavits. Judge Ramirez looked at her clerk. Play Exhibit D. The clerk pulled up the audio file. Hit play. Ethan's voice filled the courtroom, tinny through the speakers but clear. You're going to lose everything, Jessica. The house, the money, all of it. Then the May 3rd call. I'll say you shoved me during an argument. Witnesses saw it. What witnesses? People at the house. Dad. Mom. Your mom was never at my house. See how easy this is? You can't prove anything, but I can go in front of a judge and cry and say you abused me, and they'll believe me. The recording ended. The courtroom was silent. Judge Ramirez turned to Ethan, who had gone completely white. Mr. Harper, you're 18 years old. That means you're an adult. Stand up. Ethan stood slowly. Did you make these statements? I was angry. She kicked me out. Yes or no? Did you threaten to fabricate abuse allegations in exchange for $50,000? Ethan looked at Michael. Michael looked at the floor. Answer the question, Judge Ramirez said. Yes, Ethan whispered. Louder. Yes, Judge Ramirez turned to Sharon. Ms. Voss, does your client wish to proceed with claims of abuse? Sharon was already packing her briefcase. No, Your Honor. Good, because I'm referring this recording to the DA's office for possible extortion charges. She looked at Michael. Mr. Harper, I've seen a lot of things in this courtroom, but this might be the most breathtaking display of entitlement I've witnessed in 20 years on the bench. Michael opened his mouth. Nothing came out. You want me to believe your wife was abusive because she paid the bills while you lived off her income and conducted an affair. You want me to believe she forced you to sign a prenuptial agreement, even though you had the resources to hire a lawyer. And you want me to reward you with half of her premarital inheritance. Judge Ramirez picked up the prenuptial agreement and held it up. This document is legal, binding, and ironclad. You signed it voluntarily. You benefited from Ms. Harper's income for 5 years while contributing almost nothing. And now you want a participation trophy for honesty? She set the document down. Here's my ruling. Divorce granted on grounds of adultery. The prenuptial agreement stands. Ms. Harper retains all premarital assets, including the house at 2847 North Wyandotte Street, and all inheritance funds. The joint savings account will be divided 80-20 in Ms. Harper's favor, as that reflects her actual contributions based on the records submitted. Mr. Harper will receive $6,400. No spousal support. No reimbursement for expenses related to Ethan Harper, who was an adult resident, not a dependent. Michael's face crumbled. Your Honor, I'm not finished. You will return the Jeep that Ms. Harper co-signed for, as you are 6 months behind on payments, and she is liable for the debt. You will also pay Ms. Harper's legal fees in the amount of $18,500. And if I see you back in this courtroom on anything resembling this claim, I will hold you in contempt. She banged her gavel. We're done here. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. One of the reporters started typing furiously. Michael turned and looked at me, really looked at me, and for the first time in 5 years, I didn't feel the need to apologize. I stood up, shook Richard's hand, walked past Michael, past Ethan, past Lauren, and out into the hallway. The next week felt like waking up from surgery. Michael moved out of Lauren's apartment. Ethan stopped calling. The Jeep was repossessed from a gas station on Colfax, and the dealership sent me a letter confirming the debt was satisfied. I changed the locks on my house, repainted the guest room, donated Ethan's Xbox to Goodwill. On June 22nd, I went back to Richard's office to sign the final divorce decree. He handed me a folder with copies of everything. You did good, he said. I didn't do anything. You did. No, you documented everything. You stayed calm. You didn't give them ammunition. That's hard to do when someone's trying to destroy you. I thanked him and left. On the way home, I stopped at a Walgreens and bought a blank card and an envelope. Wrote a short note. Ethan, you're 18. What you do next is your choice, but if you want help, there's a rehab center in Colorado Springs that takes walk-ins. I've included $200 for a bus ticket and your first night there. This is the last thing I'll ever give you. Use it or don't. Either way, I hope you get better. Jessica. I put the note, 2 $100 bills, and the address of a rehab center I'd looked up into the envelope. Mailed it to Lauren's address. I never heard back. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my kitchen at 7:12 a.m. on a Saturday in December. It's snowing outside, big fat flakes that stick to the windows. I've got coffee brewing, and I'm reading a financial report for a new client meeting on Monday. The house is quiet. No one yelling, no one taking my money, no one telling me I'm cold, abusive, controlling. Just me. I ended up keeping my job at Caldwell. Sandra promoted me to senior finance manager in August with a $22,000 raise. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Patel, who helped me understand that transparency without integrity is just manipulation with better lighting. Michael sent me one email after the divorce finalized. The subject line was, "I'm sorry." The body of the email was blank. I deleted it. Ethan? I don't know. I hope he's okay. I hope he got help. But I learned something important during all of this. You can have mercy for someone without setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. If you're watching this and you've ever been told that honesty is a free pass to hurt you, here's what I want you to know. It's not. Transparency without accountability is just cruelty with better PR. Someone can tell you exactly how they're going to betray you and still be betraying you. Don't confuse their honesty about being selfish with them caring about your pain. And if you're in a situation where someone is using the law, or their kid, or your compassion as a weapon against you, document everything. Record the calls. Save the texts. Don't assume fairness will just happen. Build the case for yourself that nobody else will build. I still live in my house. I planted tulips in the front yard in October. They'll bloom in the spring. I got a cat last month, a gray tabby I named Jasper. He sleeps on my bed and doesn't ask for anything except food and the occasional head scratch. It's enough. If you've ever been told you should feel grateful for someone's honesty while they actively harm you, type "transparency isn't kindness" in the comments. Or if you've ever had to fight for something that was always yours to begin with, type "I fought and I won." Both are true. Both matter. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. And thank you for being here. Stay warm out there.